Okay, so I'm basically making some shapes because I want to make a Grogu tutorial because I really like that character. So I just started out with a regular circle that I sort of elongated, and now I'm just working on the ears. And I'm looking at some reference photos on my computer, so I'll insert a little video of that. But so I just sort of made a shape that I sort of want to make for his ears. So I'm just kind of and these shapes I'm going to have included in the tutorial so that you'll see how I color these shapes and how I just turn these simple shapes into an adorable little Baby Yoda. I like to call him Grogu, but most people call him Baby Yoda. I'm talking a lot, way too much. Okay. So now the one thing that I just want the ear to be, I want the shapes to look good. So when I'm drawing something, the shapes have to work. So I kind of have an idea. This is pretty much what his ear looks like, but the balance of it just doesn't seem right yet. So I'm just going to continue to edit it until I think it looks right. That doesn't look right. It seems like there's a little, should go like this. There's a little dip where his head is. That's not bad. That's a little closer. That's not bad. Oops. And his ears, they're kind of straight actually. They're sort of straight out. So maybe let's see what they look like when they're straight. And sometimes I don't always have to make it really, really perfect, but I really like the shapes to be nice themselves. And this doesn't have to be so sharp. So let me round that off a little bit. Because he has very cute features, so I don't want to make him too sharp. See if I can fatten this a little bit. It's pretty close to what his ear actually looks like. It's actually not bad. So, and what I usually do is I'll try a few different shapes to see if I can get something that works better. And that's just part of me being a perfectionist. So let's see. I kind of like the way this shape looks. See, that is too much of that. Too much of that in there. So let's see if I can just use liquify and bring this up. And now I'm going to do one more just in case I like something more simple. Let me just try to do a simple shape. I'll do it underneath. And actually, I'm gonna sketch this one first. I should probably just do a simple shape like that. So we make a new layer, and I'll just sort of trace this shape. and I'll see where that gets us. I feel like that looks nice. Like, I feel like it looks nice as a simple shape like that. I don't know which one you guys like more. It's so hard to make a decision sometimes. Oh yeah, I think I like that. I think that's a good simple shape. So I'm gonna stick with that. Okay, so I'm just gonna move these so they're sort of in the middle, and so his head is sort of straight. Let me make this a little darker just so I can see the difference between the two. Okay, and I want his head to be even, so I just have to make sure that his head is fairly even. It doesn't have to be perfect because, you know, it's an organic. His head is an organic thing. It doesn't have to be just like our faces. You know, they're not 100% symmetrical, or else we'll just look weird. Okay, so let's so that looks pretty good. Is there anything else on his face that I wanna? I should shape out his face a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna shape out his head. Essentially, we just want to make two sort of. So he has little cheeks here, his little pudgy cheeks. And they sort of bow in, so I'm just using Liquify to sort of, you know, just sort of sculpt his head. And his eyes would be here, and then his little cheeks would pudge out. So. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I just want to make them fairly even, so sometimes I have to kind of work them a little bit. Just until it looks. And another thing I do is I always lift my head up. You can probably hear that I'm further away from the mic. I just move further away, you know, just so I can get a good look at it. I mean, I guess I could make it smaller, but I like to move further away so I'm sort of looking straight down on my canvas. That way I don't let my eyes play too many tricks on me. I just try to look down straight and in the middle of the canvas. Okay, so let me make sure that his head isn't too. He still has a very round head, so. Here we go. It's not bad. So what I'm doing now is I'm just sort of comparing these two sides, and I'm just doing the slightest little, you know, liquify pushes. The liquify brush is really big, and I'm just doing slight pushes just to sort of even it out and make everything nice and even. Okay, so I think these are pretty good. So let's see what this looks like without. Oops. Okay. There's something about here that just seems a little out of whack, so I'm just going to liquefy it a little bit more. Bring that in a little bit. And then maybe it looks like I need to... Okay, alright. I think that looks pretty good. Good enough for our little Grogu. Okay, so we have a nice good Grogu head shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, let me open this back up. I'm just going to bring these both over so I can make them really large. Let me do uniform. Actually, maybe I should just... I probably should have kept the canvas a square. Let's see what the best way to do this is. If I bring these over, I might be able to squeeze this in and bring my square back. So I'm going to go to Canvas, Crop and Resize, Settings. Okay, so the height is 3000, so I need to bring this back to 3000. I think that's 3000. Let's see. Canvas, canvas information. Oh no, it's not. So I'm going to crop and resize. So that's one thing that I wish that was a little bit easier. When you are resizing, like it's hard to get it right where you need it to be. And I don't know if it has to be... There we go. Okay. I got it. Done. Okay, so now it's back to being a square, so I'm just going to make these shapes now. Shape stamps. Okay, so we have our canvas that's a little bit bigger. And let me just make these darker so I can see them. You know what, we'll just make them some sort of green. We'll make it sort of a Grogu green. I'll make the ear a little darker just so I can see it. Okay, I'll make this smaller for now because we want both the ears to be able to fit on both sides. So I'll make this smaller. That looks pretty good. So if I duplicate that, go to our selection tool and flip horizontal, I'll do the snapping, set these both on because that way I can move it around and it's not gonna move around too much. Just makes it easier to kind of keep them even. So that looks pretty good so far. Okay, so now his eye shape. So his eyes are nice, big almonds. So his eyes are nice, big almonds. So the first thing I'll do is, yeah, I'll keep them black for now since he has black eyes. I'm going to check out my other shapes and see if I have anything that sort of would work. Probably a circle would be fine. But I'm going to make some Grogu eyes in the shape that I'm going to do them. Make them a little smaller. They're not too high on his head. So that looks, let me take this snapping off. So that's not too bad. Still a little big. I'll make it a little smaller. Put it up a little higher. Let me take these snapping off so I can just move it around without having without it sticking to the grids. So that doesn't look bad. I'll take liquefy and just sort of... I kind of like when he sort of makes this face, this eye shape. I think that looks pretty good. So let's duplicate that, and I'm going to flip it horizontally. I'm going to turn on my snapping just so it's even, and I'm going to bring it over. I'll be right back. It's looking pretty good so far. And let's see, what else do I want to... His overall shape looks pretty good, actually. His eyes can probably be a little bit bigger. Let me practice with his... See if I make his eyes bigger. Whoops. Make them a little bit closer together and then a little bit bigger. That's kind of cute. So I might have to puff his head out a little bit more. Which I already made this shape, but that's okay. I could always make another shape. Oh, whoops. Liquefy. Let's see if I have to... Let's see if I duplicate this. This might be a little shortcut. Let's see if it works. If I make the shape of the eye and then put it behind the eye, and then I just slide it out. No, that looks weird. Yeah, that looks weird. Because I think if I do this... I mean, it actually doesn't look too bad, but then I think I'll have to... I'll do the same thing with this eye. So let me duplicate it, change the color, just sort of bring that out a little bit. If I do that, I might have to fatten his cheeks out a little bit more. So let me see if that, let's see how that looks. This is probably going to be the most boring video ever. Just me like going back and forth, being indecisive. It's not bad. I mean, it's not terrible. It's kind of a cuter shape. Let's see what it looks like without those. I kind of like it without. I like it with and without. We'll stick to our old head shape. Although I did fatten his cheeks, didn't I? That's okay. That's okay. He does have little pudgy cheeks. So if anything, I'll usually just go back and switch the just make a new stamp with the new shape. I probably should have made the eyes. I probably should have put them on the original circle, and then made the shape of the face with the eyes already in there. But you know, that's just something that I'm learning. It might be easier to make the shape, make the head shape once the eyes are set the way that I like them. But knowing me, I might change those as well. So it's kind of hard to know. Okay. So let's try to figure out a mouth shape. So I'll go with a darker green for now. I have a few mouth shapes, but I don't think any of them will really work for this. I like the previous mouth I did. On one of my last drawings. So let me just use where's my butter blade? So it's sort of like an arc. Sort of an arch. I'm going to make the same arch backwards so that it's even. And it's still not even. Let's see, where's my brush that... Will Studio Pen work? Studio Pen might give me a better... Because with Studio Pen, there's no change in the size. So that might actually work better. Okay, so we have that. Oops. So I kind of want to come off like that and then make the bottom part of his mouth. Something like that. This is too big, but let me freeform it. Let me take it off these snapping things. And let me take a little bit of this curve out of the top. It's a little too much. That looks pretty good. I really like that shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this really big. And I'm going to try to make it even. Oh no, but it's not a square again. Dang. I'll have to make this shape a little bit later. So what I'll do is I'll uniform it. I'll make it really big. And then later on, I'll just bring it over. I'll bring it over to where... Oops. To where I can make a shape out of it. For now, I just want to make it even. Fairly even. Alright, so this looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and fill this. If you ever get this white line, what it is that you can just, just make the intensity better on the color drop threshold. See, that's 0. That's 100. So just take it a little bit off 100, and it'll get rid of those lines. Sometimes not perfectly, as you can see. Let me zoom in so you can see here. 89, 90. There we go. 97. That's good enough. Okay, so now I'm just going to clean this up. So by doing that, I'm just going to erase. And by erasing away, like, because I enlarged it, that's why it's so fuzzy. But you can still just use your eraser. You can erase away, and you get that nice clean line. Here I'm going to try to use my, there we go. Just try to make it in arcs so that I can just hold, and then the arcs will be nice and fluid. Here, probably better if I, Let's see if I can do it this way. I mean, where's my butter blade? That's okay. I'll just have to do it freehand. It's not bad. Sometimes my screen is the sensitivity of my screen for some reason doesn't work that well. It's definitely time for a new iPad. Okay, so I might be able to get one nice curve out of this and really clean this up, but let's see. So I'm just doing it sort of fast, and I'm just trying to stay, whoops, I wasn't perfect, but there we go. There we go, that was pretty good. Clean this up a little bit. It's a little fuzzy there. And these it doesn't really matter that much, but just because I'm going to, since I'm making it a stamp, I might as well just fix all the little things that will bug me if I don't fix later. If I see it, I have to fix it. Like little things like this. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll save that. Oh, I bet you my head got in the frame. My head is always trying to get in the limelight. I don't know what the deal is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to bring it down and save it. I'll just lock it. That way I have the shape, but I have it big. Now I can bring everything else back, and I can take the mouth, and I can make it small. There we go. I like it. I love it, actually. He does have a little nose. He does have a little button nose, so I do have to leave a little room for that. And I'm not actually sure how I want to make his little button nose, but let's try it. So everything is green again, so it is. So I'll just stick with. I'll make it a little lighter. Let's see what that looks like. It doesn't look much lighter. Okay, so I don't really know his nose. I should bring a picture up here. Let me just save a picture. So let me go to Safari. And we'll just go to so I'll just download an image so that I can use for my just a nice regular one of his face. I really like this one. I think that's really cute. Whoops, I don't know what I did here. Let's see if I can download this. Download linked file. Can I download this? Sure. Add to photos. Sure. I feel like it's not gonna. I'm just gonna screenshot it. Make my life easier. So I'll go back here. And let me just. Okay, no, good, it's here. Just crop it. Okay, good. So now I can just use it. Save. So let's see if we can use a reference layer. Reference, image, import image, this little rascal. Okay, so now we have our reference there. Okay, so he has a little tiny nose. He also has some pinks around his eyes, his cheeks, inside his ears are all pink. So that's all good to know. What did I do here? So that's the mouth. Let me make sure I didn't... Sometimes I have to be careful if I made a mark behind them. Let me make sure I didn't make a mark. No, I didn't. Okay, so he has a little tiny little nose. Let's see what kind of nose we want to make for him. We'll try to stick with a simple shape. Something like that could work. Do the mouth. No. I think something like that might work. Let's see if I make it a little thinner. Thinner of a crescent. Let's see, what if we do a little something like this? Something like that could work. What if we just use a circle? Let's see what that looks like. The little circle looks actually quite cute. Okay, so let me clear this. If I want to make a better shape like that, do I have a crescent? See if I can use this smile. I just flip it over. Freeform. See what happens if I just make it really small. That's like pretty cute as well. What if I, let's see. Yeah, I really like that. So let's go back to butter blade. Let's just see how we can build on this. Let's see, what if I... kind of like that. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to try that again, but I'm going to do it the other way, the opposite way. So I'm going to try that again. Freeform. But I want to see what it looks like if that's the bottom part of the nose. Oops. Nah, that looks weird. I think that looks really cute. Might want to shave a little bit off here. Let's see. And then maybe let's get two circles. Let me erase these guys. And I'll get 2 circles underneath. A little bit too big. Let me move him out of the way. Let me do the circles on a new layer so I can move them as needed. Okay. Merge that down, so now we have his little nose. I think that looks nice. Let's see what happens if we make it smaller. Okay, so for the outfit he's wearing, I'm going to have to just do some old-fashioned drawing. So I'm just going to group all of these, and then I'm just going to make this smaller so I can continue to work on him. Whoops. Definitely want to do uniform. There should be enough space. I still want to have it big, so that should be enough space. Once my iPad starts working right. Move this over here. Okay, so for his little uniform, I'm just going to have to kind of sketch it out and see what works. So we'll make a new layer, and I'll start with Sketchmaster 2. Okay, so it might be nice to just have, so I really just want to make this as simple as possible. So sort of like that. He's got a little area for his arms. This has to be bigger, I think. And I kind of want to do that glowing little, one of those glowing. So it'd be kind of nice if he had his, like, hand up, like if he had his arm up and his little hand here. I love creatures with 3 fingers, by the way. So I think it'd be kind of cool if he had his hand up and one of those like little toad balls, eggs, was like floating above him. I think that'd be kind of cool. That might be a little too much for a tutorial though. Okay, so he's got his little hand there, and the rest is like Kind of like that. This other hand would be around here, maybe. No, it's a little much. Let's see. Really plot out his hands. I want his hands to be on there, and then his thumb. What do I want his thumb? Maybe just have his hand down like that. Let's see. Do his little thumb here. Yeah, I think that works. Make it a little smaller. Sometimes when I sketch, things can get a little too big, so I'll make that smaller. Maybe make this one smaller too. Here we go, that's a little better. Okay, so I kind of like that, but I need to figure out a way to make this simple. So if I can put maybe a couple shapes together that'll really help this along. So I'll make that really light, and then I'll make some shapes underneath it. So I'll start with a dark brown and my butter blade. Okay, so we have this collar here, so I'll start with the outside of the jacket. I'll just make a shape like this. So that sort of covers the outside of the jacket. I think that'll work. I'll make a layer above that. Let me color that in. Whoopsie daisies. Yes, I just said whoopsie daisies. It happens. Happens often too, actually. Okay, so this one's looking pretty good. Now, do I want to... I could just do hand shapes. That might help me out a little bit. Well, let's stick to the That could work, because the collar could be covering this bit. So that could actually work. And for this one, I think that could work. So let me minimize that. I'll make a new one. And then we'll do this little collar. That's a little much. Maybe I should just leave it like that. That's not too bad. Although I don't know if I want, oops, let me make this smaller. I'm not sure if I want this. Yeah, I don't want it that high up. I don't want it to obscure his head too much. Okay. So I'm just going to color everything in and see what everything looks like in a more Grogu-esque color. So it's like a muted grayish tan. I think around there maybe. Should I leave the outlines? No, I'll just color everything in. So here we have, let me alpha lock this and I will just fill color, fill layer. I'll do the same thing here, alpha lock, and I'll fill layer. And then I'll take them off alpha lock so I can fill them. Okay. And now for his hands. So I might just have to maybe I'll make the outlines for the hands, and then I'll be able to color them in. That might be better. This is gonna be. I don't know what this video is because it's not exactly the tutorial, but it's sort of like the making of the tutorial. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll use this color for the outline. Okay, so I'm trying to keep his fingers simple. So I'll do that for his thumb. Okay, he's got his. That could work for his fingers. I mean, he has sharp nails, but I don't know. Maybe I should do the sharp nails. I'll leave it blank for now. If I want to do the nails sharp, I'll do them later. So let me get this out of here just so I can see his hands properly. So palm would be here. Thumb would be here. That would be the little round part of his other palm. I think that's pretty good. Let's see if I can make that finger a little bit less sausagey. I'll just use liquify. Let me move this guy around. Just make it a little less sausagey. So if I want to do the thumb, it would be about there. Okay, I think that works. And that would be his thumbs. I guess those would be his other nails. You probably wouldn't see him on this hand. Alright, so let's bring back his head. I guess we can color that part into okay, so we got the shapes. Shapes are pretty much there. I think we have enough. I don't know, for the tutorial I might have to just add these shapes. I don't know if I want to make a stamp. Maybe I'll make a special Grogu stamp. That might be nice. I might have to. Yeah, that could be nice. Maybe I'll make a stamp and just leave these blank, not filled in. I may have to do that. So far it's looking really cute. I really like it so far. Okay, so yeah, let me make some stamps out of these guys. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate everything. So I'm going to go to gallery. I'm going to duplicate the whole thing. Oops. Maybe I'll do... You know what I can do that will make that a little bit better? So I will use this layer and I'll just... I'm going to make circles where the fingers are. So as long as you put it inside the circles, then that'll be the right size. That's a good idea. Okay, so now when I take that away, that makes these shapes a little bit easier. That'll make them make sense a bit more. Okay, so what else do I need to... Let me make these a little darker, just so I can see them. So I'll take this. I'll take my eraser and All right. For this, I'll do the same thing. I'll just make it a little darker. And then I'll change the opacity, that way I can see underneath. I'll take my eraser. Okay. So now we have all the elements that we can stack. So now I just have to make my stamps. So I'm gonna make the stamps, and then I will come back and continue. All right, so I have all the shapes done. All the stamp. Come on, come on, come on. All right, so I have all the stamps done, but everything is still the same. These are all still the same shapes that I had before. So I'm gonna try to get this done within an hour. I'm going to try to keep everything simple and do less talking like I'm doing too much of now. So for the jacket, his little jacket here, this shape, I'm going to do a little bit darker because that's further back. Does that make sense? Oh well. I'll do it a little bit darker. And then I'll do these a little bit darker as well. That's not too bad. So then now we have a little separation, so you can kind of see them better. So these stamps where the hands are, I'm going to fill those in with, for now I'll do the same color as the skin. So what I'm going to do is just color behind them. Actually no. Well, I'm gonna get crazy. I'll just fill in the hands. Part of me, the reason why I'm just gonna do it the way that I wanted to do, because I might want to change the color of his little palm, and that'll be easier if I just color underneath. So I'm gonna color underneath the hands, but this shouldn't actually take too long. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. So I'll bring his little head back. So for this part, he does have a little, let's see if we can open up the reference again. So it does have a little part on his jacket that goes all the way down. So that'd be something that I want to include. But we'll do a simplified version. So I'll just take this color, and I'll even keep it on this layer. I'll keep it on the layer that the sleeves are. Actually, I'll just make it on a layer above his jacket. And I'll just make it a little darker as well. So I'll alpha lock, actually not alpha lock, I'll select the jacket, and then I'll move to the blank layer, and I'll just use my butter blade. I'll kind of just draw something like that. I think that works fine. I should be able to fill that. There we go. So I'll change the color and make it lighter, but now just as long as we have that element there, it'll just make it easier for us. I'll make it a little bit lighter now so it doesn't look so out of place. But let me deselect. There we go. Okay, that looks good so far. So now what I want to do we like the... I was thinking if he's going to have something floating above here, now we'll shrink him later, but if he's going to have something floating, we can make his eyes sort of looking at it. Because as I was noticing in the reference, he has whites. His eyes aren't just completely black. So he does have whites in there. So what I wanted to do was take this layer and just make it a sort of cream color. And I'll just fill that. So now this is more of a cream color. And I'm actually going to select this, and I'm going to go to his head layer, and then I'm just going to cut. And I'm going to move his eyes below that layer. That way I can work on his eyes and everything, and they'll be behind his head layer. Alright, so if we want to make some eyes, for now, we'll just make them black. Just as placeholders. It's a little too small. That's a nice size. So I'll just duplicate it. Oops. I think something like that looks pretty good. So that's a pretty good shape for the eye. So we'll worry about the eyes more later, but now at least we have a sort of general position that we can keep the eyes. Alright, so let's do a little bit of shading here. So for his jacket, we'll alpha lock. Oops, I think it was already alpha locked. So we'll alpha lock the jacket, and now I'm just going to color pick the same color. Once my iPad decides to color pick, there we go. I'm gonna go darker and a little bit more saturated. And now I'm gonna use soft airbrush. And we're just gonna airbrush in his little jacket. And I'm not trying to get all the bells and whistles, and by bells and whistles I mean all of the shading and creases and things like that. We're just gonna do a nice simple shading. Because otherwise this would take me forever. If I was really trying to go for a realistic kind of jacket and things like that. Make it a little smaller, and I'll just make sure I really get underneath that collar. So now we'll alpha lock the sleeves, and we'll just sort of do the same thing. Actually we can use the same color. Make sure I'll go back to my previous color here. Oops. Okay. Make sure I'm on the sleeves, make sure I'm alpha locked. So now I'm on the sleeve layer. Get rid of this guy for now. So one thing about his sleeves that I forgot to mention, we're gonna take the color of his collar. We're going to take the color of his collar, and we're actually going to, let me select and make a new layer above. Oh, maybe I can't make a new layer. Oh, I can. Okay. And now I just want to color in part of the sleeve here. So the reason why I'm doing that is because his sleeves are always rolled up. So this will just be the color difference because his sleeves are rolled up. And actually I'm going to erase where his little hands would be. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to erase like that. So that's where his hands would be. So I'll do the same thing here. I'm just going to erase near his hands. So it's sort of like his hands are coming out of the little sleeves. So now we'll go back to the regular sleeve layer and we'll go a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated. And we'll just shade that in. Make sure it's alpha locked, yes. So I always shade, I shade along the edges. You have this collar here, so that's going to make a dark shadow on the sleeve. You can go a little bit darker, just so you have that separation there. You can color in dark where his sleeves are. You can even get a little darker. Okay. I probably should put a little bit of his arm, but I'll worry about that a little bit later. I think it's fine for now. So now I'm going to go to the collar, alpha lock that. Now there is a line here. So I am going to, you know what, I'll put that in later. Right now I'm just going to color pick that color, make it darker, and just shade in his little collar here. Alright, it's not looking too bad. Okay, so we'll do the same thing with the little section here on his jacket. So I alpha lock that, and then I'll just give that a little shading as well. So it'll be nice and dark under the collar. You can even go a little darker. I'm going to go back to the previous color. Okay, let me go back up to the collar and just add a little bit more here. Just a little bit more shading on the top part of the collar. Okay. Now I'll do the same for his little sleeveys. Make sure they're alpha locked, yes. And again, I'm just shading around the edges mostly. The inside edges as well. Okay. And I'm also going to... Do I want to do that now? I think this is okay for now. But I do want to add this line in here. So I'm just going to... I'm going to color pick it. I'll go a little bit darker. I'll go to Sketch Master 2. Make sure this is alpha locked. And I just want to make the line here. Okay. It's not looking too bad. Alright, so now I'm going to add some shading to his face. So we'll go to his head. And I'll alpha lock that. Actually, we should pick a better color. We should pick a better color first for his face. So let me do a more... I think it would be a less saturated. I think something like that looks a little bit better. Merge the ears together. And I'll change that color too. Might be a little lighter. I think that's pretty good. Okay. So that's pretty good. We'll change his hands as well. Let me clean up his hands really quick. So I'm going to go to his hands layer, and then I'll just want to clean up a little bit of this that I see is outside of the lines. But also there's some issues inside the lines as well. So I'm going to go ahead and color that in. Oops. Color pick. See how the other one's doing. The other one's not bad. Okay, so we can probably just match these two colors if my color picker decides to work. Okay, so I'll alpha lock the outlines and hit fill layer. And for the inside, let me do that manually. It's not bad. I can make the outline a little bit darker actually. That might help me. Okay, yeah, that works. So I basically just took all the saturation out because he's sort of a muted grayish green. I think that looks a little bit better for his skin. So now let me go back to his head, color pick, and I'm just gonna go mostly more saturated and less dark but more saturated. And I'll just shade it as though it was a regular sphere. Let's see, let me go a little bit darker. Let me do the color pick again. And just go a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated. There we go, that looks a little bit more natural. I guess he's not very saturated, so I can't go too saturated with the shading at this point, at least. And as always, kind of like light. I'm not pressing too hard on the screen. You just want to shade around the area and just kind of build it up. Until you slowly get a nice gradient. And I'm going to make this darker. Just so the edges have that nice dark shadow to kind of bring them out of the jacket and things like that. Okay. Looks pretty good so far. Now for the hands, I don't know why I made this line so thick for the hands. I really shouldn't have. But let's see what happens if we merge them and if we fill them to one color. Let's see how that looks. So we merge them, they're alpha locked. So let's fill layer. It makes it a little difficult, unfortunately. Okay, I have an idea. So what I'm going to do is take that palm. I'm going to make the palms a little lighter. So for now, I'm just going to use a much lighter color that I might change later. But that's why I'm doing it on a separate layer, so I can always change it if I need to. So if it's just his palm, it would almost be how like the bottom parts of the fingers would be what you would really see. So you wouldn't see any of the thumb, you would just see this area would be light. Same thing over here, so maybe a little bit of the thumb, all of this palm, the bottom parts of these fingers. I used to do this all the time with the Ninja Turtles. Okay, so now his palm is nice and colored. I might actually get rid of some of this. Let's see what it looks like without. It's actually not bad without. It's really not bad without. Interesting, the plot thickens. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase some of that. Because it does help define the hands, but when it's so thick, it can sort of be a hindrance as well. And I might just let me tone these down a little bit, and then I might just flatten the layers. So let me tone these down, tone down his little palms. Why do I feel like they're different colors? Is that just me? Maybe that's just me. Okay. So I'm just gonna flatten them. So now that they're flat, I can have a lot more leeway for what I want to delete. And I can just take this color and do the same thing. I'm using that light color to just sort of skinny out some of these lines. It's looking a lot better. Let's see how much I can erase on this side. This side isn't too bad. All right. That's not bad. I wanted to look at his little ears. Oh, good, he's still here. Okay, so his ears there is a dark area here. So what might be nice, so I think I'll just shade it I'll shade it like normal. We'll start with that. So I'm going to alpha lock, and I'm going to shade his little ears as I normally would. So I'll color pick, go a little darker, and I'll just sort of shade in his ears. And his ears are kind of pink inside, but we'll get to that in a little bit. For now, I just want to give them a little shape. Just give them a little life. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. Oh, we're already at like 30 minutes, so I only have 30 more minutes, and then I have to call it quits, I think. Okay, so what do I want to do next? And if you're wondering why I'm leaving this bit of the eye here, it's because I think I might give him some. He does have an iris in there. I think it's just really dark green, but I might add those at the end, just for fun. I can't not add the eyes. It'd be kind of nice to give this some texture, actually. But I don't know if I want to do it just yet. I might wait until we do some different things to it. So let's start that now. So I'm gonna go back into the jacket. I'm gonna go back here, and I'm just gonna actually make that a little darker around the back. All right. And I want to make the sleeves. I'm just going to darken up under here. It's not alpha locked, is it? It's not. See? Never fails. Okay. Just give it a little separation. I'll do the same thing with this part of the collar. Maybe it went a little heavy, but that's okay. Just gonna leave it for now. I'll go a little heavy on the other side, so at least it's equal. Okay, I'm cool with this. I can make him a little smaller. So I'm gonna select all of these. And I'm just going to make him a little smaller. And now I just want to make a darker background. Because I think it's time that I need to put him in an actual environment. What color? I don't know. Okay, so let me take a break. I'll just figure out a background color for him. Alright, I like this color for him. So I'm gonna move him down so that I can make the little floating orb if I want. I could also make him holding it, but then I'd have to make his eyes, I have to make his eyes look like they're looking at his hand. I kind of feel like floating. I feel like floating would look nice. I'm gonna have to Google what those little things look like. Oops. We'll just make a new layer. Yeah, something like that. Almost like he's making it float. You know, whenever I finish, I might put a little like motion blur on it or something. But we'll see. But for now, we'll just use that as a placeholder. Okay, so next let's get into his ears. So he does have these kind of pink sections. So let me think. What's the best way to go about? I also have to be careful because I have it really big. So let me see how many layers I actually. Oops, didn't want that. Let me see how many layers I have. Canvas information, layers, Alright, I have 11 layers available. So let's do this. I'm going to make it a little bit of a darker line. I'm going to make it above his ears. And now I'm going to do this little shape. I'm going to do that little shape. Oop, wrong brush. Yeah, something like that is really cute. It's just simple. I like that. So I'm going to color right on his, I'm going to color right over his, so I'm going to select his ears and make a new layer above. And I'll add that sort of reddish pink color. I'll just sort of airbrush that in a little bit. I'll do the same thing on the other side. It's actually a good color. And the reason why I did it above the other layer was because now I can stay on that layer and I can just erase above the line that we made. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so it's also a bit shaded. So what might make it a bit easier is if I take my lasso or select tool and I just select this area. That way I don't have to really worry about messing up. That way it's contained underneath this flap. So I'm going to go back to my dark green. And I'm just going to lay in some deeper shadows from his ear underneath the pink layer. Do the same thing on this side. Add in some dark green. I'll go a little darker. Add some in on the bottom. Okay, I like that so far. And there's also a little bit of shading down here. So I'll shade that. And it sort of, his ear does a little thingy in there. So what I'm going to do is I'll just erase. I'll just use the soft brush and erase to sort of get that little dimple in. But I want it to be very slight. Okay. Okay, so I really like the placement of his eyes. So let's do an eye here. So I am going to have to be careful of the layers. It's the only thing I have to be careful of the layers. Because I probably only have about 8 more. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'll go green so we can see it. Whoops, must be the wrong eye. Make it a little smaller. Gaussian blur. Duplicate the first eye, the first circle. Make this smaller. He has big pupils. He has really big pupils. And these might actually look really weird. I don't know how good this is gonna look, but we'll see. So what I've been doing is making another one. This one I'm gonna make a darker green. And I'm going to Gaussian blur that. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to merge them down. And now I'm going to select the original black, so I don't go outside the lines. I'm going to go to the green blurred circle we just made, and I'm going to smudge with fine hair. Is fine hair the one I was using? Yeah, fine hair is the one. So this just makes some really nice lines. Okay, so now we have some really nice lines on his eye. Okay, let me just double check the position. It doesn't look like he's looking up anymore, I don't think. Does it? Might have to do some, see, the only thing is, if he's going to be looking up like that, then he would really be, his eye would be, let me freeform this. And let me take those snaps off. So I would be something like that. I don't know what's up with, I don't know what that line is. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. Freeform. Yeah, so his eye would be thinner. And it would be sort of like this. If I was actually looking at it. Which is not bad. I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. So I need to make another layer. Actually, I can just do it on, see if I make this a multiply. Yeah, I'll just do it on the pupil layer. I'm going to use that dark green. And I'm just going to use, I'll just use graffiti brush. Let's see what 30% looks like. Okay, so this is going to be hitting here, and it's going to be lighting up this. So let me select. Okay, like so, and I'm just going to make it actually darker, and I'm just going to use the airbrush and just make this darker. And now I'm going to add another layer, an add layer, and I'm going to use green, bright green. Let's see how that looks. So I'm using an add layer. I'm going to, where's the hairbrush? Fine hair. I'm going to try to fine hair in some there we go. So that kind of gives a nice little shine. I can take some away from the sides. And I can also make it darker. So let me select this again. And I'm just going to make it a little bit darker on the... Oh, I'm on the wrong brush. On the outside of this. Okay. It's not bad. I mean, I don't know if that's going to work. I just don't know. I might need to just make the whole eye darker. Let's see if I change the... Yeah, I feel like something like that looks... I feel like that looks alright. So to make it easier on myself, I'm going to select this, duplicate it, and bring it over here. Alright, let me get rid of that. Now it's just the adjusting game. I'm trying to get them to look natural. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if it's something about the skew. Okay, I'm not sold on these eyes just yet. See if I can distort them. It's not bad. Let's see how it looks. I think that looks cuter. So let me delete that one. Get rid of this. And let me put let me merge these two down. Okay, so let me add some black shadow and see how that looks. So I'll use this I'll make the layer 30%. Oops. So I made the layer 30% so I can just do these shadow marks. I'm going to select the whites of his eyes. Select. That way I don't go out of bounds anymore. Okay. It's not bad. And now what the other thing that I wanted to do that I always do for my characters that I haven't done on this one is excuse me. Select invert. So I selected the whites of the eyes, but I inverted, and now I'm going to. Oh, I already made a new layer. I'm going to do a layer above his face. Make that a little thicker. Oops, I pressed a little hard at the end there. Okay, that looks adorable, I think. And also, right underneath that, I'm just going to do a lighter color. So sort of like the reverse of that. Do I want it directly on the green or above? I'll do it. You know what? I'll just freehand it. I'll freehand it. So start here. Make sure I'm on a layer above the skin and under the black. Oops. So something like that, but definitely smaller. I'm going to select the skin again, so it only goes on the skin. Oh, it's a little too thick. So this is sort of like doubling for the bottom eyelid. That's sort of what it's representing. I mean, obviously it's not really, but that's what that's supposed to be. Okay, so now let's go back to the eyes. We'll go back to our beige color. You can color pick the eye if you need. And now we're just going to do some shading. Oops, move this down. Let's do some shading of the eyes. Just using like a darker, a little bit yellowish, darker beige. Make sure you get the bottom there. Make sure you get the top. And also obviously make sure the layer is alpha locked. This really helps get that spherical look for the eyes, you know, it really helps the iris and all of that to make it look somewhat realistic. Okay. So now we'll put some pink around his eyes, his nose, and his cheeks. So we'll use that same pink that we used before. I'm going to merge these two. And I'll just do it right on the layer. Since we're moving quickly, I'm just going to do it right on the layer. Make sure it's alpha locked. So add some nice pink. Actually, maybe I should do it a little bit darker first. Yeah, let me, before I do the pink, I'm just going to add some more shadow around his eyes. So he would have some shadow here. Well, actually, he probably wouldn't with this light. I forgot that I'm adding in a light source, but that's okay. But we still want to give his face a little shape. His little pudgy face. So this part of his face is definitely going to be darker. If we're going to make this orb glow, then this side of his face is definitely going to be darker. So I might as well go ahead and darken that up now. I'll even darken it up a little more. Darken it up here too. And I'll do the same thing with the ears. Should make that one dark. All right. And we'll add a little bit to his mouth. So we'll add a little bit here. Oh, that's a little much. I'll add a little more down here. Because that would obviously be very dark, so I'm going to go a little bit darker, just so it's really nice and dark where his head meets his jacket, his collar. Okay, now we'll switch back to that pink color, and we'll just give his eyes a little pink. sure his little nose is pink. That looks sweet. That looked funny. Maybe we want to go. Maybe we want to go darker underneath. And then maybe we want to go a little bit lighter, but just a little bit, like not really defining the nose, just keeping it sort of ambiguous. And I'm going to go a little more red for his cheeks. There we go. I like that. And we'll do a little bit of pink around his mouth. Okay, so let's deal with this mouth. Let's deal with this little mouth. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to keep it that big, and I'm going to cut it from the actual head. And then I'm going to bring the mouth behind. So same thing we did with the eyes and stuff. Trying to figure out what layers I want to merge, because I know I'm getting short on layers. I'll merge the pink. This nose can merge with his eyes. Okay, so now I'm going to make a new layer above the mouth so I can do his teeth. Try to keep that simple as well. Maybe something like that. Maybe a little tongue. Let's see what a little tongue looks like. Let's see if he has a little tongue like that. I can do a better tongue than that. I always do the tongue sort of like lopsided. I don't know why. I can never really get it right. I mean, there is a possibility his mouth could be just too big. I very well could have made it too big. Well, what if I add some more teeth? Let's see what that looks like. It's kind of cute. lips. Maybe I give him a little more of those little teeth bumps. I definitely buy that. And I'll give his tongues a little shadow. So I'm just gonna go with a richer color of that same color. I'll just go with a richer red. And just sort of give that some shade, especially in the back, towards the back. And for his teeth, I will just add a little bit of gray. I'll do the same thing down here. Oh no, I'm on the wrong teeth layer. So alpha lock that. Just add some gray down here. There's teeth. Okay. And let's see, what else do we want to do with this little rascal? Let me put some sort of, well, firstly, let me add, I'm going to go back up to it's a little light, and now I want to do the reverse. So I did the shadows, but now I'm going to take my soft airbrush on the jacket layer, and now I'm just going to lighten up the outside of that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other areas of clothes. So I'm just adding a light layer where I have the shadows, right on the edge. Do the same thing on the collar. Okay. I think that looks good. Now I'd like to give his jacket some texture, so I don't know if I want to merge it all just yet, because I do want to add some shadows. So let's work on this little guy. I don't remember what those little things looked like, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. So for now, I'm just going to make a duplicate of that. I'm going to get a nice turquoise. A nice sort of bright turquoise color. So nice blur. Duplicate this blur a little bit. And let me duplicate it again and just make it a little brighter. I probably should, you know what, before I do that, I think I'm going to make everything a little bit smaller. Again. But I grouped all this. Group. Make everything smaller again. Oops. Uniform. Okay, so now I'm going to Gaussian blur this again, but much bigger. Whoops. Gaussian blur. Okay. I'm not sure. I might want to put some of this inside. And maybe even like there's something inside. I might have to play around with this a little more later, but that might look interesting. Yeah, I might have to play around to figure out how to make it look like there's something inside there. But for now, yeah, I think I'm happy with it so far. I'm just gonna add some deeper shadows to the jacket. Yeah, I need to make some really deep shadows. Okay, so let's get into this. So I'm just going to make a new layer, multiply. I'll start with this airbrush. So this is going to be really dark here. And it's going to be even darker from this sleeve. So now I'm just going to shade in from this sleeve and from the collar and from this arm. So those are all going to make really dark shadows. Make it even darker from this sleeve shadow. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back to the previous dark. I'm going to do the same thing with the sleeves. Select. Oh, did I not do it on the multiply layer? I didn't. Oh well. I forgot to go back up to the multiply layer, so... Oops. Select the sleeves. Back up to multiply. Okay. So now another thing I need to do is take the collar, select, and cut the sleeves. Cut. There we go. Now I can take the sleeves. I can go back up to my multiply layer. And now it's not gonna, I can shade without it bleeding into the collar. Okay, then let's go to this little collar. Go real dark. Select. Okay, so the bottom is definitely going to be dark. It's definitely going to be dark over here. Along this ridge, it's going to be dark. And that's a little too dark. And now the shadow from his head is going to be up here. It's going to be there. And the bottom of the sleeves are also going to be in shadow. At the bottom of the cuffs. Then you have the shadow from the hands. So make this whole cuff a little darker. Of course, the inside is definitely going to be dark. Alright, now let's choose this little, select this little bit here. Just make that nice and dark. You know what I have to do? I have to select this again, and I have to cut it from here. Now I can select it. Otherwise, when I try to shade up here, it'll just bleed into it. And I hate that. So I'll try to give them a little bit of separation there. Just to kind of make it look like there's a little something. Okay, let me go back to his sleeve, because I see an area on the left side that would not be that bright. I'm just going to color it in on the sleeve itself. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and as for the hands, I'll select the hands. I'll make a new layer if I can. Okay, good, I can. Multiply, and I'm going to use a darker green. And I'm just going to shade these puppies in. And this hand's mostly in shadow. This one would be a little darker around the bottom, but it's going to have a lot more light on it, so. Okay, so now we'll just add some light. So we'll go back to our nice aquamarine color. I think I did more blue. And I'm just going to go with light pen. I'm going to merge down the hands. And I'm going to merge all of these clothing layers. Merge these layers as well. So now I'm going to do a layer above, and I'm just going to do some light pen action. So everywhere this is hitting, where it's close, I'm going to do the light pen. Make it a little bigger. There we go. This is one of my favorite brushes. Light pen, just such an amazing brush. I'll do a little bit over here as well. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but we'll do a little bit on his face here. We'll do some on this sleeve. Do some on his thumb. Okay, where else do we want to put some of this light pen? I think that's good. Everything else is a little bit further away, but that's a good place, I think, for a nice glow. All right, I'm gonna merge inside his mouth. This I might just make darker. Yeah, that looks better darker. So that's good. I'll just merge the mouth. Everything else is good for now. I'll leave everything as it is. I can merge this line on the ears. Okay, so far so good. Now the only thing I have to do is I need to add some. I might actually be able to. Oh no, that's not going to work. Pardon me, I wish I could just. Well, that's okay. I'm going to add. So I'm going to do everything on. Let's see. I'm going to do it right on this layer. I'm doing it right on the layer, so. I'm going to add some shading. Here. A little bit on this side. His head. Oops. Alpha lock his head. Wait, what's selected? I don't even know what I have selected. Alpha lock his head. Get some of that nice glow right on that little head of his. Make maybe a little bit on his cheek. A little bit on his other cheek, maybe. A little bit on his little nosy. Maybe his nosy gets a little bit of that light. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so also his eyes are going to get it, so I'm just going to use the light pen, and I'm going to do it on the same layer as, I'll do it on this layer. So I'll have the round ball here. And that's going to be shining through and causing that light. Does that look right? We should make it bluer. Oh yeah, that looks great. I like that. And you can even put some of this around it. But I still want to make sure that that middle is nice and white. So I'm going to go back over it with the light pen. Oops. Light pen. And I'll do a 30%. Move this guy. 30% white. I'll just merge these layers. Merge this layer too. Make a layer above, and I'll just do 30% white for his eyes down here. Okay. His face needs a little more darkness on the bottom. Might be a little too much. Okay, That's not bad. So let me do his hands. Let me add a little bit of that nice blue alpha lock to his fingers. And his clothes. So they're going to get a little touch of that as well. Make it a little brighter. Okay. And we'll give him a nice little shadow. Oh, I want to darken up in there too before I go too far, because that just looks silly. So I want to make sure I darken up here. Just really darken that up. Oops. So you can't see inside his sleeves. And now I just want to give him a shadow underneath. I don't know if I want to keep this purple color, but I guess for now I'll just make it a darker purple. Usually for shadows I just darken up whatever color is already there. Make it a little darker. And then I'll go underneath and I'll just add a little bit of that blue ambient light. Okay, let me just smudge up this shadow. Oh, might be a little too much. I'll use the soft airbrush. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay, I don't like his mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off alpha lock. And then I'm going to select right underneath it. And I'm going to use my liquefy. Excuse me. Use my liquefy, and I'm just going to push that down a little bit. It actually looks kind of cute. I like that a little better. And I'll just add a little gray. Oh good, I still have that. I still have this layer. That's good. So that makes it easier to, is that the whole? Yeah, it is the whole layer. So I have to be careful not to go on the green. Excuse me. I think I can get rid of this. Low battery, everything's starting to shut down on me. Even though I can just plug it back in, but I need to go to bed. It's 4:16 right now. Make it a little darker. Really want to get some separation there. Here we go. Get that separation from that lip is what I want. Okay, so we have the shadow there. So now what we need to do is behind him we need to give him a little bit of a glow from this blue light. So let me make it a little richer. Just give him a nice blue aura. Let me make sure. Let me just try out and see if I make that lighter. If it looks better. That looks good. Sometimes if I'm not too crazy about something, I'll just play around with the I kind of like add, but I think add sort of looks like if I was to double it and then make it a little lighter. So let me take away a little bit of that. Okay. I think I'm happy. Let me just make sure I don't like these better if his eyes were black. His eyes a little darker maybe looks better. And I kind of want to bring out this eye a little bit more. Something about it is not sitting right. I think that feels a little better. Yeah, I kind of like that better. I do have to smudge, since I cut a bit off earlier, I do have to smudge that. Back, sort of fix that. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with that. This little rascal. You know what we'll do? Since I got you here, I'm gonna take this background, I'm gonna make it a little darker. I'm going to use my rectangle like that, fill, Gaussian blur, blur that out some more. Add a little atmosphere. Add a little bit of that. And what else did I want to add? I think, yeah, maybe I'm good. Normally I would add some shadow and some bounce back from the purple, but I think that might be a little too much right now. I think I'm just going to call it. Because otherwise I'll get a little too far in the weeds. I mean, I mean, it will make it look cool when you add those, like, when you add that bounce light. I have to admit that. Just sort of helps to put him in the, you know, the space. And I don't know if I can do this, but I might be able to make his ears glow. If I select this, and let's see if I do right above it. If I do a pink maybe, an add layer pink. If I do the right add layer, I might just be able to just get a little bit of that subsurface scattering going on in there. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think I need a little line above the eye. I don't think I do, but I guess I can see what it looks like. It looks pretty good, actually. Get a little bit of darkness there. Just to sort of separate that lip. And the only other thing, let me alpha lock this. This might be a little bit darker even. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, hope you guys like that. And yeah, so I'll try to. I might. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I might just throw it on the internet and see what happens. But yeah, hope it was fun. Hope you guys liked it. And as always, keep drawing, and I will see you in the next one. But for now, I'm going to sleep. Good night, y'all. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram at DrugFreeDave. Follow me on YouTube if this isn't already YouTube. And also, don't forget to join my private Facebook group for tutorials, Procreate tutorials and guidance. So I will see you there, or I will see you square. So as always, keep drawing, and I'll see you in the next video.